Hello, boys and girls. I am excited because let's see how many more months we have right here in Zone 7B before we get started with some garden. Let's see, November, December, January, and then February. So we got January and December. So about another 2 months. Another 2 months, we'll start putting things in the ground. Well, start things growing. I'm going to start my things indoors. And I know some of you will be starting things indoors. Uh, but I think that it's going to be, we got to pay attention to the weather. Got to pay attention to the weather because for the last number of years, we've been surprised at the weather. Now, this year in Maryland, again, Zone 7B, it started out with a lot of cold, and then we started out also with a lot of rain. It just kept coming. And so it was very difficult if you weren't familiar with planting a garden or growing a garden when you have that much rain. And then certain crops did not do well with that much rain. Um, I still say it's going to be interesting year. It's still got to, here in Zone 7B, it's still got to get cold here. Today, last night, excuse me, it was 34 degrees, but it's still got to get cold. We have, been setting record cold temperatures for the last 4 years. We've been setting records. I mean, it's been getting cold. So that helps to, if you will, clean up everything. I have to get out onto my property and cut some of these trees back, and I'll do that. I have plenty of time to do that, but I want to get it done and so that the trees are cut back so that I can get around certain areas. I want to be able to have the trees, some of the trees cut back down because the height is the thing. I refuse um, to absolutely um, climb trees to get fruit, stand on step ladders and things like that to get fruit. I don't do it. I just don't want to do it. It's just something that I said no. I'm going to control the size of these trees, and that's just that simple. Um, there's a new tomato I will be growing. I mentioned it earlier. It's called Boxcar Willie. I'm getting away from trying to grow the big tomatoes because you get to tomatoes, and I don't want to, get a couple tomatoes because I'm interested in size of fruit. I am interested in bulk, so to speak. And boxcar Willie, my understanding is it will give me that. It's a very good tasting tomato, and it's designed or set up to just grow ample supplies of fruit. And so and also another thing is the pack that I'm growing from has got to be at least 4 years of age. So that's something I'm interested in. That's something I'm interested in as well. Growing it, enjoying it, and then the peppers, they're on the top priority because um, banana peppers and bell peppers are going to be number one. My chili peppers, they're going to be good as well. I think I will continue to grow the chilies because I tend to have more success with the chili peppers as opposed to something I bought on what they call rareseeds.com. Uh, that they have a large chili pepper. It's large, and I have had some success with them in the past. Um, and thought that it would be a good idea to keep growing them. I mean, because they do grow a nice sized pepper. Um, the taste of the pepper is pretty good, crunchy, interesting flavor, but chili to me is that old standby that keeps on giving it to you. Now, another thing is, I also have a number of seeds I've saved that I have actually saved. So I will be using them, using those seeds. And also, I've been talking. There was a young lady that hit me back. Some of them hit me back after I do this live show, so to speak. And she said she's going to be trying the seed soaking method that I use. And so I will be also talking about that again in the future, soaking the seeds, because it just you the way it is here, I want to use every method that I can do to speed up the germination of certain seeds that I have. Um, Seeds such as peppers, which is a flat seed, but it's somewhat hard. And instead of soaking it for 3 days, I might soak it overnight in warm water to get the water inside the seed, and then put it into the tray that I'm going to grow it from, and then see, how well I do. I mean, that's a plus, soaking those seeds, and then covering them over with a touch of the vermiculite. That's something I started doing, and I like that, um, because it's very light and goes right on top, and you moisten it down, and uh, with a spray bottle of water. Best water uses rainwater, and once you do that, you're all set. The seeds will grow, and one of the hardest seeds to get started for me in this climate is also, is the pepper seeds. When peppers start growing in your greenhouse and that sort of thing, you're getting closer to the garden season, because I've been putting peppers in let's see, what was it, January last year. I put the peppers in, and it was very difficult keeping them alive. Very difficult. I got them up, but very difficult, because you got to really, really, really heat a greenhouse to keep peppers alive. They like a temperatures to be really up there, to stay alive. So, if you want to absorb that cost for that number of months to keep a greenhouse alive, I think that's important to consider that as well. Um, I think that starting them in February will be good enough for me. Uh, I will be able to get a jump on everything. And actually, I'm going to start them a little earlier. That's my little technique there. I'm going to start them a little earlier than February. It'll be maybe 2 weeks before February come in, and that will help me to get things started off on the right foot, so to speak. Yeah. But I just love this gardening thing. And I still got my little um, I still got my little plants here. If I can get them, they're a little tangled in this little area. But this right here is my little. It gives me something to look at every day and remind me of gardening. This is just some garlic that came out of the refrigerator, and it's still doing well. And I'm hoping that I continue to have something growing in here. The peppers are doing quite well. They're still standing there, and they're still green, and that's what I want also, is to keep things growing. It gives me, something to do as far as the gardening is concerned. I was just looking this way because I'm looking at my pepper plants. You don't want them high. You don't want them in uh, wet soil. Whenever you bring your pepper plants indoors, which I think a lot of you will try next year, bring them indoors, grow them indoors, and you start out with a mature plant. And some people get plants this big. I mean, well, 3 feet tall, and then cut it back and keep it in a pot, and and it will do you right next year, because you'll bring it right back outside, and it'll keep you going. No, I didn't hear about that. I guess I've been there. Yeah, I've been in jobs where people drank from the job. I have. One was my doctor. He was high for something one day when I saw him. I looked at him, he was nodding, and I looked at him and I said, "Oh my God." I said, "He's nodding. He's not just sleep, he's nodding." So that's not good. Um, but we all kind of deal with our demons in different ways. Uh, mine is I guess a garden, and I love it. I love it so much. Gardening is it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I've been doing it now for 18 years, and I still every summer, every spring when it comes in, I get all excited, and uh, I just can't get over how exciting it is. Oh, I see. All right. Yep. But I mean, it's just so much going on today. It's so much going on. And so you need your peace of mind. And one thing gardening does is give you that. It takes you. It takes you. I'm going to have to think on that. It takes you uh, so much. Uh, you know. Uh, so just to deal with things today. And gardening is one way of helping people deal with that. I look at it as really therapy because I go out into that garden, and when I get out there, it's just so relaxing. It's just so relaxed. I'm just thinking about it right now. Everything is brown out there now. All the leaves are off the trees pretty much. And I'll be shooting a video out there very soon because I want to give those people that like yourselves that have been sticking by me on this channel because it's not easy doing the channel. It's not easy doing it. I mean, some days I come here and I talk and there's nobody there at all, but I still put the information out there so that I can record it and get it out there to you. Um, I love the fact that so many people are turning on to this show because I've seen that in the last few days. Um, I mean, yesterday was a good example. There was quite a few people here yesterday, and they were. Oh, hello. Oh man, yeah, thank you. Um, it just so many people have been tuning in, and I love it because you get a chance to talk to gardeners, people that have the same thing in common that you do. I've been doing this for a lot of years. I enjoy it. I still enjoy it. I would pretty much say I'm still like a kid when it comes to gardening because I get the seeds and I look at them. I say, "Wow, look at this." And I'm looking at, say, for instance, I'm looking at bell pepper seeds, and I look at the bell pepper seeds. They're flat, and I used to follow all the other gardeners online and learning and from books. And now, books used to really set me back. They used to really set me back. They showed me how to do things. Hi, hello. They used to show me how to do things that. Oh no. I'm gonna try to answer that question there. I'm thinking on that for a second. Just 1 second on the watermelon thing. Um, but what happened was um, I just I used to, and every year I would grow stuff in it. And I remember taking food to work and giving it to some of the ladies there at work. And they would look at the cucumbers and say, "Where'd you get these on?" They're really big cucumbers. And, so my whole thing was, wow, big cucumbers. And these women really like these cucumbers because they are getting fresh food from the garden. And what took place was I was so excited that I used to just get nervous when it would get near the when it would get right into the oh God, what am I trying to say here? I just drew a blank. When I would get near the spring and summer. See, I get so excited sometimes I just don't remember what I'm trying to say. It's incredible. So then I started planting any and everything, and I started, peppers and different peppers, and I said I want lettuce, and I want cucumbers, and I want okra, and I was growing all these items, and sometimes the way I did it back then, the garden would get overwhelming for me. I had watermelons going, cantaloupes going, I had corn going, I had beans going, um, and I had all these things growing, collard greens, kale, and I had to go out there, and everything was growing. Everything was growing, and I was excited, and it was crazy. And I would say, okay, today, oh, look at all these big, pretty leaves of collard greens, and I would cut those back, and I would put them in a pot and put turkey necks in there, and I didn't know how to cook it. And then something said, go on YouTube and look up how to cook collard greens. And it was one recipe on there called Southern Style Collard Greens. Once I hooked up with that recipe, I saved it over my favorites, and they were talking about putting the bacon in there. And I said, this can't be healthy. But I tried it, and I put the bacon in, and the onions, and the garlic, and I think with some other ingredients I can't call right now, Worcestershire and things like that. And I cooked these down, and they were so great. They were so great. I could not believe collard greens taste that good. So each day I would go out and I would get more collard greens. And then something happened where I said, mix the collard greens with the kale. And then I said, oh my God, I'm eating fresh food. Now, here's the kicker. I always wanted to eat food that was so fresh, that was so full of nutrients, that even the President of the United States, the kings and queens in some countries were not eating as fine a food as I was eating. And that's what turned me on about gardening, was that I could eat food that is chock full of nutrients, and I could eat food that is fresher than a person of extreme wealth could not get what I'm getting, because they were getting it from a restaurant, and I worked at the restaurants, and the items they get, they order that morning, it sits there all day. Um, then they cook it up and things like that. But my stuff was coming, the the pot of water's on the stove. It was coming right from the garden, right onto the pot after washing and cleaning it up, and prepping it, and it was going right in the pot. You don't get fresher than that. You don't get fresher than that. And then I used to go out fishing, and I used to bring back the fish, and I, well, this is kind of cruel, but I would clean them. They were alive, and I would automatically start cooking them. So they went right from the water right to the table. They were still alive in the 5 gallon bucket. So that's what I did. Now, the question about the watermelons, let me just say this to you. My experience with watermelons is this. Um, they like a lot of sun and heat. They're heavy feeders. And also, thus the name watermelon, they like to stay, you know, watered. You say the less, say the least. So watermelons, I've grown watermelons before, and my experience has been, they're, to me, they're kind of picky. A lot of people tell you build a mound, put about 8 seeds to, if you just do them direct sow, 8 seeds to each hill, then thin it down to three of your biggest and baddest seeds that did very well. Um, and it's quite a bit of fertilizer and things like that, and it's quite a bit of organic matter in the soil that's required to grow it. And as I said earlier, warm temperatures. They suffer when they don't get warm temperatures. Now, I grew one once that was a sugar baby, and the reason why I grew the sugar baby, because in this particular environment here, I say grow a watermelon that has a short maturity. It matures very fast. So I grew it and actually lost them in the yard. They're known to do that when they grow up. The weeds and grass grow all around them, and you can't find them. And you look and you see the watermelon in there, and you look and say, "Oh my God, that's a watermelon in there. That is a watermelon." So once you do that, I brought it in the house, cut it in half, and I gotta tell you, this is the thing about it. It was the sweetest melon. All these years I've been on this planet, and it was the sweetest melon I've ever cut into, and I grew it. And I knew why it was that good, because of the soil that it was growing in, and that's why it was that good. The soil that I grew it in. Now, have all my melons been that way? No. I've cut into some that it would taste like a bit of sweetness, just a little sweet, and mostly it was just water and just a little sweet. But I say this: if you want to grow melons, you need to watch some of those farmers that all they do is melons, and try to come up with what is it that a melon needs and must have to grow properly, because just putting the seed in the ground is not going to do it. Melons require you to have the exact nutrient needs that it needs, and also the right temperatures and that sort of thing. Um, the soil that they like is more of a sandy kind of soil, is what melons really like. I've tried growing them many times in clay soil, which is primarily what I have. And I could have went through the trouble. I could have actually did that, mixing in a little sand and loosening up an area that's about 15 to 20 inches across, and really mixing it up, and then mounding it up and all that. I could have did all that, and then roots would be able to penetrate through the soil and do what it's supposed to do. I did not do that, and I took shortcuts, and I paid for it. Now, I hope that experience might help you, because, they are picky. I think watermelons are picky. I think they're very picky. And then the black plastic that goes over the soil to keep it that much warmer helps that seedling to grow faster, and the temperatures being up. Because every farm that I have seen, the majority of those farms use that black plastic when it comes to melons. They use it because they said, no, but bring the temperature up of the soil a bit, and put the plastic and everything in place before you put those seeds in the ground. And that's how they were doing it, because they wanted to make certain that they had melons. And melons do, in fact, which I think you already know, because you said you just want to find out how to make them sweet, um, which is melons definitely are heavy feeders, and they are space hogs, which a lot of us know that you put one, two seeds, three seeds in the ground, and they'll take up 20 feet away from it. Depending on what variety you're growing. The smaller varieties like Sugar Baby, and then they got the Crimson, which gets about 25 to 30 pounds. Those type watermelons might be a little bit less space they might take up, but they do take up a great deal of space. Um, but you got to make sure they have their needs met, and that's very important. I hope that some of that information I gave you helped you out some. But melons, I mean, even the pros, they that do it every year will cut into a melon in the field to see if they're sweet, because they can't guarantee that those melons will be sweet. You go up to Walmart, you go to the box stores, you buy the watermelons that are in those boxes, and when you're turning them around, you're looking for the slight yellow on the belly of it, not the white, but the yellow on the belly, and that could be a good indication that you can have a sweet melon. Um, but other than that, plucking it is listening for a kind of like a thump thump thump, like a hollow sound. Gives you an indication that the melon is ready, and the tendricole that's right next to it connects to the melon. That tendricole, once it turns a solid brown, that tells you that the melon is ready. So yeah, I mean there are many things you can do to do that. Uh, So, now the question you asked about the tomatoes, I don't know what your nighttime temperature is there. Your nighttime temperature, and is it consistent? Because tomatoes are warm, loving crop. Now, as far as you being in zone 9, I believe you're in the right zones to grow tomatoes. But when to start them, I don't know what your nighttime temperatures are, because right now our nighttime temperatures here are averaging about 34 degrees. So, of course, it would not be suitable for tomatoes right now. Now, if you're starting them in a greenhouse, that's another little story. That's another little story. But I did that. If you're in the winter months where you are, watermelon, excuse me, no, watermelon. The tomato plants, if you start them now, I mean, you got to wait all the way to spring. They're going to be big. They're going to be big, and you got to have room for them. You got to have places for them to keep, the sun on them, so that they or lighting, artificial lighting. But I did that. I started very early last year, probably close to winter. Well, it was winter time when I started my tomatoes, and it kept growing and growing and growing, and then it went. And I could. It was costly to keep that greenhouse, up to temperature. But the tomatoes kept growing and growing. By the time it got near March and April, I had big tomato plants, bigger than the ones you see in the box stores when you buy them. And that's really what you want to accomplish is to have a healthy tomato plant ready to go into ground. Let's see, indoors and okay, if you're going to do it in your home, again, depending on the temperatures outside, if it's winter, really winter there, like here it is, you really want to not start them too early. You can start them indoors, but don't start them too early because you are going to do what I did last year, which is nurse this plant for months, feeding them and really, and they're getting big and they're hanging over the pot and they just and then they're going to get some of them. You're going to lose some because it's just too cold. But you can do it because I did. How many plants did I do? One, two, three. Heck, I did about 20 tomato plants like that last year. And the biggest thing was keeping them alive. I went from I went from this pot. I went from this pot right there. It's amazing how I keep all this stuff on hand right there, But I went from this pot to much bigger pots. I think it was like 5 inches across pot, and they were growing and they were getting bigger. And then the trick about it is when you take them out of this pot, which they were planted. I'll give you an example. I started the seeds like right here, and then once the seeds started growing, I just kept mounding up the medium around it, and it kept growing and growing. I kept mounding them up. So when it got to the top, then at certain points, depending on how many seeds I had in here, I might start to see a tray like this. This is just me. This is just me. This is what I do. I started. Okay, let's see. Wait a minute. Let's see. Okay, yeah. We're in the Oh, you're in the 70 degrees. Oh, okay. Let's see. 70. Yeah, you can start them. Yeah, absolutely. 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 You're looking for a minimum temperature of about 50 degrees. About 50 degrees. You look for a minimum of 50 degrees. So if you wanted to start them, yeah, you would do well. You would do well. You would definitely do well. 70 degrees average temperatures at night. Yeah, consistently 70 degrees. Yeah, that would definitely be no problem at all. Tomatoes are great. Tomatoes are great. You can grow them. You can grow them real easy. I'm still shocked, and I don't down anyone. They go out and they spend 350 and sometimes $4 per plant. I can't do it. I can't do that. I can't. Thank you for the thumbs up. I can't do that. I cannot do that. That goes against everything I believe. I believe that you can garden and save money at the same time. You do not have to shove all your money out the door just to have a beautiful, bountiful garden. I don't believe that. I used to believe that, but you don't need to do that. Those dirt poor farmers many years ago did not have money. All they bought was seeds, and they knew what the seeds needed to survive, the manures, and they knew how to prep the soil, and that's what they did. The most important thing, good people, I will always say to you is this: your main job is to grow soil. That's it. Somebody been teaching us wrong many times in many years. They've been telling us, all these books and tapes about gardening. They all tell you about the plant, and there's very little talk about that soil. That soil is the key, the very key. That's what it is. It is the loving arms of a mother, so to speak, to a plant. Yeah, that's what you want to do. You want to start your tomato plants, grow at least two varieties of them or more, because a lot of us are trying to grow those big tomatoes, and you get a couple tomatoes, four, five, six tomatoes, and you're like, oh, I got a couple tomatoes, and it's not exciting as when showed it in the picture where you saw the guy with tomatoes that were like 6 pounds and he was holding it. And you're thinking, mine didn't get that big. Well, those are professionals and they're using certain techniques to do that. And they don't share that information all the time. They don't share it. They do not share that. They will give you enough for you to look at it, but they're not going to share some of that information. And some of them are using certain hormones and things that they use to grow certain things. And, I mean, really, I mean, there are many ways to grow things. Um, and so it's a lot of gray areas when it comes to gardening, a lot of misinformation that people have been putting out there for many years about everything dealing with gardening. It's like a myth. Like no one, it's not a lot of people out there that'll be straight with you. That will be straight with you when it comes to gardening. They tell you anything and everything, and the worst thing you can do is go on the internet sometimes and look around, and people are telling you things, but they won't tell you everything, or they're telling you buy this bottle of this, or this can, or this powdered stuff, and it will make your tomatoes sweet and big and pretty, and they're not telling you the truth. Miracle-Gro is notorious for that. They told you go out and buy a Miracle-Gro. Miracle-Gro will make everything grow beautiful, and you have a bountiful garden. I remember the commercials years ago. Bountiful garden, everything will be wonderful. Tomatoes the size of basketballs, but the problem what Miracle-Gro was doing to your soil was the messed up thing. Miracle-Gro was actually salting your soil. So you might 2 or 3 years get stuff big and bountiful from Miracle-Gro, then after a period of time, your soil gets burnt out. You're growing the plants really fast, so the bugs are eating them up. Now you got to go out and buy some bug treatments because your plants are growing way too fast. And that's what they do. And so I've learned to grow vegetables at their natural rate of speed, grow them, give them what they need. I'll give you a good example. I'll give you a great example. And here's something a lot of people will not want to do to grow, for instance, great tomatoes. They won't do it because it's nasty and it's kind of unseemly. They don't want to do it. Dig a hole in your backyard or the area where you get ready to grow tomatoes. Go to the fish market. Dig all your holes that you need for your tomatoes. Go to the fish market. Get some 5-gallon buckets. Go in there and ask the guy for some fish heads and fish guts. You don't care. Just load the buckets up. Take the buckets back home. Put them in the holes where the you get ready to grow the tomatoes at. Cover them over 2 inches or more full of. Cover the fish heads and guts and everything over. Set the plant right on top of it. Cover the rest up with your native soil and stand back. Stand back because once you water that in and you leave it there, you want to bury it deep enough so the animals can't get to it. Okay, stay with me. Once you do that, you can do this with peppers. You can do this with tomatoes. You can do it with all of them. Once you put that in there like that, number one, you get free fertilizer. Number two, you get natural food that the plant's going to absolutely gorge themselves on. Another thing is the fish heads are going to give it such a boost that the plant is going to shoot off and go right into orbit and produce everything you want it to do. Beautiful yellow flowers on them. Tomatoes are going to start growing a lot faster than your neighbors, and they're going to wonder what did you do to produce sweet, high quality tomatoes. And all it is you use fish. It is so good for your garden, and people won't tell you that. And then they got something called fish emulsion. I think that's what they call it. They sell it at the big box stores for $9 and $10 a container. And all it is grounded up fish in a bottle. And you're paying top dollar for it. If you went to a fish market, they would give you all the heads you want. If you go to one of those fish markets, the pretty good sized ones where they could go back there and dump you and get a guy a tip if you're gonna put them out like that. Give him a guy a tip and put the stuff in a bucket. That way, the next time you come back to him, he'll look over and say, "Uh-oh, that's that lady there. I'm gonna get a $2 or $3 or $4 or $5 tip from her," and then you set. He'll feel like wasting time with you, when he see you in your cart and you bring those buckets up through there. Well, this has been the Morning Garden. Everybody, thank you very much. And the gentlemen, I haven't forgot about you. I will be getting that information to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a great day. I love talking to you. You have a great day now. This is the Morning Garden.